Hey you guys, so in this video we're going to be making 6 different keto bread recipes. I know one of the most common complaints that a lot of people have about keto bread is that they taste eggy. And I don't blame them because I used 43 eggs in this video. So I purposely looked for recipes that said that they didn't taste eggy, and I also found recipes that don't include psyllium husk because those always make recipes turn purple and come out extra moist, which I don't like in my bread. If you want to find out which recipe didn't turn eggy, then keep on watching. Alright, so before we start making this bread, we have to make sure that we have all the stuff we need to make the perfect pancito. We're going to need a scale to make sure that we are on point with our baking. I can't take the risk of messing up the recipe by underfilling or overfilling a measuring cup. We're going to need parchment paper to lift the pancito out of the loaf tin. And as for the baking pan, I was going to use my glass one, but I ended up learning that when you bake anything in glass, you have to cook it at a lower temperature and for a shorter time. And because I'm not trying to do all of that math, I'm just going to stick to my regular old tin one. So let me know in the comments below if you knew that already, because I sure didn't. I just bought a bunch of glass baking dishes thinking that they were just going to look really pretty. One thing I've learned since my cookie video that I posted in March was that room temping your ingredients are non-negotiable. It really does affect the outcome of the finished product. So I'll have you know that all my ingredients are at room temperature in this video. Thanks to my friends on Instagram, I've discovered life hacks to room temping my ingredients when I forget, which is going to be most of the time, let's be real. They include giving my eggs a warm, not hot, bath, and microwaving my butter at 40% for 20 seconds using this button. Yeah, I just found this button existed. In today's episode, we're going to be making 6 bread recipes from the following creators: Joe Duff, the Diet Chef, Maya Krempf from Wholesome Yum, Aaron Day from Fat for Weight Loss, Madam Mega from Keto Connect, BuzzFeed's Tasty, and Kaylee Steffens from The Hungry Elephant. You could find the direct link to each of the recipes in the description box below. And remember, I'm no baker. I have no culinary skills whatsoever. I just like trying out different recipes on my channel. I'm here to show you my attempt at recipes, showing you the mistakes I've made and what I've learned from it. Let me waste my almond flour so you don't have to. Alright, so in this first recipe, we're going to be using almond flour, unflavored whey protein that I bought from GNC, powdered erythritol, cream of tartar, salt, baking powders, butter, and all of these eggs. Okay, so in pretty much every recipe, we're gonna have to separate the egg whites from the yolk. Try not to get any of the yolk into the whites like I did. Then we add the cream tartar and blend it until it gets thick. We start off with mixing the dry ingredients together, and then we add the melted butter and one of the yolks that we had to have remembered to set aside. We then begin to slowly start incorporating the eggy fluff to the dry mix, being as gentle as possible so we can try to achieve a fluffy bread. Make sure to line our loaf tin with parchment paper for easy scoopability. And then the recipe tells us to contour the bread so that we get most of the fluff in the middle. And we then bake the pancito for 40 minutes, only to take it out to cover with foil and bake it for another 50 minutes. That's a 90-minute bake time, people. So in this second recipe, we only need almond flour, coconut flour, baking powder, a stick of butter, salt, and 12 eggs. The following ingredients are optional but recommended: the crunchy swerve for sweetness, cream of tartar for the egg whites, and xanthan gum. Same process as before, we're going to separate and beat the egg whites till they look like tiny mountains. This time we're going to be using a food processor to mix everything. We start with the dry ingredients, then the melted butter, and then we mix in only half of the egg fluff, trying not to overmix it, which is what I hope I'm doing. We then dump the guts of the food processor into the remaining egg fluff and try to gently keep it as floofy as possible. We then cook this bad boy for 40 minutes, cover it up, and then bake it for 30-ish more minutes. That's 1 hour and 10 minutes of baking time. In this third recipe, we're going to be using almond flour, coconut oil, baking powder, xanthan gum, salt, and butter, and only 7 eggs this time. So thank God in this recipe I didn't have to separate the egg whites. All I had to do was pretty much just dump all the ingredients in a bowl and blend them. By far the easiest recipe, and the bake time was only 45 minutes. So in this fourth recipe, we're going to be using almond flour, baking powder, cream of tartar, butter, 6 eggs, and stevia. In this recipe, we're back to separating our egg whites and whipping up our tiny mountains. We're then going to just pretty much dump all of our ingredients in the food processor, only adding a third of the egg fluff first. Then we add the rest of it later. And like always, we're trying our best to not overmix it. And the last thing we have to do is just bake it for 30 minutes. Yes. So next up is BuzzFeed's recipe, which I didn't realize was just an inspired version of Keto Connect's recipe until it was too late. In this version, they use almond flour, salt, cream of tartar, oil instead of butter, baking powder, 6 egg whites, 6 egg yolks, along with 2 whole eggies. We start off by separating the whites from the yolks as usual in our tasty branded bowls, adding our cream of tartar, creating our good old egg fluff. In the bowl that has our yolks, we're going to add the 2 whole huevitos, the oil, and we whisk it together. We then add our dry ingredient, and instead of using a food processor, we're going to mix it by hand and then bake it for 40 minutes, which is 10 more minutes than Keto Connects. So in our 6th and final recipe, we're going to be using almond flour, whey protein, salt, butter, baking powder, xanthan gum, and warm water. In this recipe, all we have to do is dump our dry ingredients in a bowl, then add the butter, then try our best to incorporate it in our too small of a bowl, and lastly, we just slowly add in our warm water. Once it's nice and thick, we're going to throw it in our oven for 25-ish minutes, and then we're finally done. And so that's it. This is all of our keto breads. Coming up, me and my husband are going to give you our thoughts on each of the pancitos, tell you which one tasted the least eggiest, and find out which one I recommend to make. Look at my side profiles.
Welcome back.
Stop.
Welcome back.
Welcome
back.
I'm just gonna edit that out.
Welcome
God.
back.
So we're gonna be trying a bunch of keto breads. So the biggest complaint a lot of people have is that they taste really eggy. So you're gonna tell me if they taste eggy.
Eggy?
Here's your pancitos.
Dude, but first of all, I'm super impressed with how they look. They look nice and fluffy. I have no idea what they're gonna taste like. The yellow ones I'm gonna guess are gonna taste eggy.
I want you to tell me what you think about as far as the texture. Would you be convinced this is bread, or is it a good replacement for bread? And does it taste eggy?
Right off the bat, I really like the crust on it. As soon as I picked it up, it actually felt like a loaf of bread. Like this was freshly cut. Flavor-wise, I can definitely tell this is made with almond flour. I can taste almond flour. It has a little bit of a cakey consistency, but at the same time, it's kind of dry.
I baked it for like an hour and 40 minutes.
No, it's a good substitute for bread. I'm trying to figure out what this reminds me of.
Oh.
Okay, so if you're Catholic, the little round cookie things.
Oh, the
that's
wafers?
the little wafer things. That's what this tastes like.
I don't think they taste like
Oh,
that.
this 100%. Try it again. But yeah, this kind of flavor-wise, that's what it stands out to me as. It's kind of like that wafery body of Christ.
So no egg, right?
No egg. Surprisingly, I didn't taste any egg on this one.
Okay, so the next one had 12 eggs in it. Well, actually, 12 egg whites.
Okay.
So that's such a weird way to eat your bread. I like this one.
This one's very good. This reminds me of cornbread. This has a very, very similar taste of cornbread. Texture, like everything's like spot on for like a cornbread. It's sweeter than the other one was, not as plain. It is spongy and soft, but also it has like that taste of bread.
Can you taste the 12 eggs in it?
No, I can't even tell that there's egg in this. Just does not taste eggy. So far, both first two have not tasted eggy at all.
So next one.
This one looks like
cornbread.
Okay, so this one, when I made it, I didn't have to separate the eggs, which I thought was such a relief. This one, I was like, just dump it all in.
Okay. This has an egg taste.
I can taste the egginess. I'd still eat it though.
This one, yeah, this has a lot of egg in it. I don't know why. Maybe the egg whites make things taste eggy.
This is 7 eggs.
This tastes a lot more eggy than the other one. It's also, it didn't rise as much. It looked a little bit shorter, but this would be okay as a substitute for like French toast. I mean, consistency's there. Kind of has that French toast flavor because of the egg. I would say maybe 1 is probably the best one so far for a sandwich.
So the next one,
Ooh.
I think.
Oh, listen to that.
Did I not cook it long enough? I try to follow all the recipes exact like they were supposed to. It's not my fault. Like, I try.
I like the sound though. It sounds kind of like it's moist, but it does look a little airy.
I've made this recipe before.
Well, let's see.
It's very dry.
This is like super similar to the last one that we just tried flavor-wise. I probably couldn't tell the difference between them taste-wise. Yeah, lots of eggs in this one. The way it tastes, like, it's not my favorite. I still think the one before this one probably is a little bit better for French toast. I mean, the crust looks okay. It's a little drier. It sounded like it was gonna be a lot more moist.
Oh, I know, huh? Because of the squishiness.
Mm-hmm.
So the next one is by Tasty. It took a lot of inspiration from Keto Connect's recipe. So the recipe was really similar. Let me know what you think between the two.
Okay, so this one is a little bit drier than the previous one. It does have a little bit better taste though, as far as coming closer to a bread or like a white bread. Something that I'm seeing that's very similar with a lot of these is kind of have like a cornbread flavor. I'm not really seeing like it has almond flour like the first one. The first one definitely stuck out like it was more of an almond flour base. I don't know, there's some things I like a little bit better, mainly the flavor. On the other one, I think I like the consistency a little bit better, but this one doesn't have as much of an egg taste as the previous one. This one tastes a little bit plainer.
I'm so glad that you're here to explain all this, because to me it's like
Bread
they're
is
all
bread.
I'm like the worst when it comes to like actually describing food. Okay, so this is the last one. This one was surprising because it had no eggs in it.
Yeah, so as far as like touch and feel, this kind of reminds me of a sourdough. Kind of looks like a sourdough, so that's what I'm kind of hoping it tastes like. I'm pretty sure I'm wrong, but yeah. Very dry. This one, I think if you can do like a twice bake, like bake it twice to get it like really crispy, I think this would work like as a crouton. But yeah, as bread, it's very dry.
I think I would like it as toast.
I feel like this is like cornmeal. Like I'm just eating. It tastes like protein powder and flour.
From all of them, which one did you like the best?
Oh yeah, number 2 for sure. This one just overall on its own, very, very good, very tasty. Like she said, it has 12 eggs, but don't let that kind of fool you. This actually tastes really good. The first one I think was really good for like a sandwich bread substitute. I think this one is plain enough where you can actually throw it on a sandwich.
All right, and from between Keto Connects and Tasties, which one did you like best?
Which one? I don't even know who's, but yeah, I gotta try it again.
I hate how you bite it. It's like, why do you bite it like, who does that? That's how you bite it.
On taste alone, number 4, I think this is Keto Connects. Yeah, on taste alone, theirs is better. The other one's just too dry. I don't like dry bread. Man, I just hate the egg taste. I really do. If you can, I would go with one of the first two, to be completely honest.
Which one out of all of them tasted the eggiest?
Probably number 3. Even though it probably had the least amount of eggs, I think it tasted the eggiest.
Thank you for biting that the right way. I finished all of them just because I like bread, and I'm just going to eat them all. I don't care for the eggy taste. I can't even tell that much. To me, it's all like, they're all good.
Skip 3 through 6.
So the first 2 are basically the good ones.
Oh yeah, the first 2 are definitely the 2 best ones. 3 and 4 can get away, like I said, if you're going to use them for a French toast. Just depends on your usage.
I hate how you reference cornbread the whole time, but we're just talking about regular bread.
What? That's the thing. Like the only ones that really tasted like regular bread was number 1. The only thing I don't like about number 1 is it tasted too much like almond flour. Number 2, and to me, like everything says bread. Number 2 is bread. It doesn't have like, hey, I was made with almond flour. Hey, look at me. I'm a little suspicious. I was made with almond flour. Or, damn, 12 eggs went into me. Nah, this was done really well.
Thank you. That's it.
Peace out. subscribe. Bye!
Oh my god, that was a lot of bread. By the way, you guys, don't be like me and leave the bread out because it's going to mold up really quickly. I made the mistake of leaving it out for like, I think a night or two because I didn't have enough space in my fridge. And it got really moldy really quickly. Thank you so much for watching, and then I'll catch you in the next video.